going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hi, PSI TV. Today we are in my shop in North Carolina, and we are going to talk about the Buick. I get asked a lot what's done to the Buick. You know, I post a Buick video, and a lot of people haven't been with the channel for that long, so they don't really know what the Buick is or what it has on it and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to make a video that shows everything that is done to the Buick, and that way I can just refer people to this video, and you'll know what I got. So I bought the Buick, gosh, like 10, 12 years ago. When I was living in Michigan, working at Motorsports, I drove to New Jersey to pick it up. It was supposed to be a nice rust-free car, and it wasn't. The floorboards were good, fenders, hood, trunk lid were good, the quarters were good, frame was good, but the doors were rotten, which any car in Michigan, the bottom of the door is going to be gone. So I got the car home, stripped it apart, and I'm going to hopefully find a couple pictures, and I'll put them up here as I'm talking. Got the car home, blew it all apart, pulled the naturally aspirated V6 out of it. So this was a Regal Limited when I bought it, and it was a vinyl top car when I bought it, with the nice grandma plush seats and all that kind of stuff. And I think it even had a turbo 350 in it. I don't know if it was factory or not. I honestly don't remember. I junked that motor, I threw it away. Got the car stripped down to the bare frame and started with that. So I guess what I'll do is I'll put the car up in the air and we'll start talking about the suspension and the frame and all the stuff that I did under the car before I did any of the engine or bodywork or anything like that. Okay, so welcome to the bottom of the Buick. I've got a makeshift light on the GoPro here, so hopefully you guys can see everything I'm talking about. If not, I'll have to redo this whole entire video. Let's get started at the back and we'll work our way front. So first things first, the Buick has aluminum bumper mounts, front and rear. They are covered in rubber and other sorts of junk, so you can't really tell that they're the aluminum bumper mounts. But anyways, I took the body off the frame, and the first thing that I wanted to do is notch the frame and also box the frame. So if you look right here, what you can see is where I cut a section of frame out and then I plated it all the way forward. And the reason you do that is for a wider tire. Now right now, I've got these Mickey Thompson street comps on it, and they are 295 35 18. When I first put this car together, I had a 295 30 18, like what you'd find on a Corvette, and they're a little bit lower. The reason I put these tires on here is I was hoping for a little bit of traction, still looking for it, haven't found it yet. So also back here, we've got the Aeromotive A1000 fuel pump, and also there is a old school plastic fuel cell in the trunk of this thing that I put in my original G-Body race car back when I was in high school. So this thing is old, probably older than some of you guys. So we've got our fuel return and a vent, and this is our fuel feed up to the front. This is dash 8. And this is our water pump for the water to air intercooler. The tank sits inside the trunk, which I'll show you guys in a little bit. So back here, all the frame was in good shape, no big deal. Normally you'll find rot in the frames here, but surprisingly none in this car when I got it. So when I had the body off the frame, I knew that I wanted to run coilovers instead of regular springs on spring perches back here. So I also cut out the cross member that went above the rear end here. And what I did is I put this structure up in here, which is round tube and square tube, and I kind of braced the frame up for these coilovers. So these are strange single adjustable coilovers in the back with adjustable brackets welded onto the stock 7.5-inch rear end. This is a posi unit. I forget what it was out of, but it's not original to this car. So up top we still have rubber mounts in the rear end, double adjustable upper control arms with heim joints up front, and then our lowers are also double adjustable with heim joints front and rear. I found that you always want to keep at least one rubber joint in a rear end for a street car. Gives a little bit of movement, a little bit less harsh of a ride. So that's why I did that. The brakes in the back are stainless steel brake company. They're a 12-inch rotor in the back, just a single piston caliper. Nothing crazy. You can see them out here. Also, the quarter panel's been cut just a little bit for the wider tires as well. As you guys can see, of course, the transmission is not in it right now because it is over there waiting for me to put it in. So, but we can see everything that's going on in here now a little bit better. So I mentioned before that I also boxed the frame. So from the factory, the frame is boxed up to here where the trans cross member mounts. So I boxed here and then here all the way back, and then on the other side from here all the way to here. And as you can see, this is why we box it. See the bow in the frame right here? That is not from me. That was done when I bought the car. And then we got a box plate up here too. Also, when I had the body off the frame, I put in all poly body mounts back here too. And I actually added the extra body mount, which I don't remember which one it is, but when you put aftermarket polyurethane body mounts in these, there's an extra one on each side that you can put in, and those are in the car as well. So a little bit of oil. This is from the trans vent when I got it awfully hot. But anyway, this is what the bottom of the car looks like. Nothing crazy. There was one rust hole I had to fix, which is what I'm looking for right now. This is an upgraded Spawn sway bar. Also, nothing crazy out of the ordinary. The suspension back here is set up really stiff. And the reason that I did that was I like going around corners, even though I don't that often. But also, like when I hang this thing out in a burnout, the car is really planted. Even though it's sliding, I can stop the slide immediately and, you know, gather the car back how it should be. So moving forward, you can see we got water lines run through the frame and next to the frame all the way up front for our water to air intercooler. Now we'll talk about what we got going on back here. This car does have a line lock on it. What this actually does is it stops fluid flow to the rear brakes. I've never hooked it up though. I've never had a problem doing a burnout. So this could be hooked up to stop all brake fluid to the rear for burnout purposes. Like I said, I've never had to mess with it. So it's just there. When I put the LS motor in it, I've actually made my own motor mounts. You can see here they're solid motor mounts, and I pushed the motor back as far as it would go to help get the weight towards the rear of the car. So you can see the engine is really close to the firewall on both sides. So as far as front suspension goes, Spawn out of the box lower control arms with factory, I don't know what they're out of, they came in already, lower ball joints on both sides. We got true coil short springs with strange shocks in the middle. So this is like how a factory setup would be. The only difference is, and I really don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it, but there's an adjustment cup up inside the frame on both sides. And what that adjustment cup does is allows me to adjust the ride height. I didn't want to put coilovers on the front of this car because there is no good mounting solution for it. So the next best thing was to have a shorter coil spring, which is lighter weight. They're 550 pound springs. And I think stock is like 1,200 pound. So it's actually a big difference. But when you put the adjuster cup up in the frame, it allows you to adjust the ride height if you need to. I've only had to adjust it once. And, you know, I got the car a little bit lower because that's what I'm all about. So on both sides, adjustment cups, true coil springs, strange single adjustable shocks, big sway bar up front with poly mounts all the way around. And this is our wastegate dump here with our turbo crossover and all that good stuff running up through here. And then if we come a little bit further up front, we can see transcooler lines, intercooler tubing, again, aluminum bumper supports here. And this is my water to air intercooler right here. It's just a little guy. It's meant for about 500, 600 horsepower. So I'm pushing the limits of it, but my inlet air temps don't really get that high, so no big deal really. And there's a heat exchanger up above it, which you can't really see, but it's that guy right there. It's rather thick with two fans in front of it. So that is basically the underside of the car. You see intercooler tubing here too. I haven't painted this piece yet. I got lazy. But yeah, got water lines running. As far as clearance for the front wheels, you can see here I had to cut the inner fender structure out, and I actually made my own inner fenders, which you'll see up in the engine bay. The brakes up front here are actually off of a Corvette, and I made my own brackets to hold the caliper and then machined a stock rotor so that the Corvette rotor will fit over it, and then there's a spacer behind the wheel to help space it out a little bit. But basically factory Corvette calipers, caliper brackets, and rotors. Then if you come in here, you can see the bracket that I made with the modified spindle to hold the caliper, and of course braided brake lines all the way around. Brake line that we made running across as well. So what I'll do now is I'll let the car down and we'll look in the engine bay, inside the car, and in the trunk. Alright, moving under the hood. What I'll show you first is behind the grille, You can almost see the heat exchanger and the two fans in front of it. There is also a trans cooler in there, and then the radiator right behind that. So, in the engine bay, we'll start with the coolest part, is the turbo. So this is a Turbonetics T6 flanged thumper 80mm turbo. It is very, very old school. It has been on a lot of different cars. I had it rebuilt a couple years ago, and it's been doing really well for me since. The inner fenders, the firewall, and the core support I redid a couple of years ago. This car didn't have inner fenders in it for many, many, many years. It was just an open tire, and it would beat up the bottom of the hood and throw rocks. And as you can see, there's nothing in front of my turbo to stop rocks from going in it. So having the inner fenders is definitely helping. The downpipe's out right now because I've got the transmission out of it. But there's the downpipe right there. It's a aluminum 4.5-inch downpipe that I fabricated for it. So the engine is a 6-liter iron block, stock crank, stock rods with rod bolts and aftermarket pistons. The short block should be good for the 800-900 horsepower range. Right now, with the tune that's in it and the boost that I'm running, it makes about 630, 640 to the tires. This is a LS6 intake manifold with a stock LS6 throttle body, cable driven, CPR fuel rails, and fuel lines that I made with the air motor regulator in the back. The headers I made back in the day when I LS swapped this thing. They're 1 7/8. Yep, they're 1 7/8 mild steel. And the reason I did mild steel is I was doing this on a budget back in the day. You can see how even now that they've been coated, they're starting to rust through a little bit. We have a Synops 55mm wastegate up front, which I'm not even sure that company's still in business, but that wastegate's been really good to me. I like it a lot. And then nothing else crazy as far as engine goes. 4-inch intercooler tubing up in the engine bay just because it looks massive and cool. So part of the front suspension that you can't see from underneath is the upper control arms. Those are made by SPC, and you can build your own control arm. So you buy the cross shaft for whatever car you have, and then you buy whatever joints you want, whatever adjustment sleeves you want, whatever ball joints you want. And these are set up with a Howe circle track tall ball joint to help correct the upper control arm angle and make the car handle better. And then everything else is double adjustable aluminum adjustment sleeves and chromoly everything else. So also this car runs Hydro Boost for brakes, which I absolutely love. The car stops like a dream. And when I redid the inner fenders and the firewall and all that, I put a Willwood master cylinder on it just to clean it up. It had this old raggedy like Astrovan master cylinder on it for a lot of years. So redid that, redid the lines, tried to clean this up a little bit in the engine bay. And you can see the underside of the hood's been painted as well to match. So she is not the prettiest girl at the prom, but she is definitely purpose-built and a whole lot of fun to drive. So one of the biggest questions I get asked is, what are the wheels? The wheels were made by a company called BSA. And I bought these wheels at least 12 years ago. BSA has kind of changed as a company, but these were actually made for a BMW. So BMW and G-body wheels are really close in bolt pattern. All I had to do was drill out the bolt holes a little bit to accept a larger stud, and they bolt right up. But I do have to run spacers front and rear to get the offset right. Inside the car, I just recently put the stock instrument cluster back in. It still has the factory radio in it and a cheap old T-type steering wheel. I use this Edge Insight monitor for all my gauges. I used to have all Aeromotive gauges in here, and I didn't really like the look. I kind of wanted a factory dash back in it. So the dash is in really good shape, no cracks or anything like that. No center console. I'm going to be doing that soon. And then I'm going to mount a different style of shifter because I don't like that shifter. Corbeau seats. These are suede and sun beaten to death. And Corbeau 4-point harnesses in here, and then stock back seat, factory headliner. All the windows are tinted, the front windshield as well. And that's about it for inside the car. Again, the trunk is all utility. There's nothing crazy in here. It's the stock trunk floor. The quarters haven't been modified, the wheel tubs have not been modified. So we just have a Taylor battery box. This is like a Jazz fuel cell, like a 16-gallon. And then we've got a 4-gallon ice tank, which currently has water and Dexcool in it. You can see that this is the original trunk lid off the car. The car was originally black, and this is the factory option sticker as well. Deck lid fit by. So you can see the car was in really good shape when I bought it. The problem was the guy that I bought it from decided to DA the whole outside of the car. So it was like this nasty charcoal color. I really wish he would have left it black, because I probably would have painted it black. But I do like white cars. When I had the car painted, I just had the outside done, so none of the jams are done. The underhood wasn't done. The trunk wasn't done. I just wanted it to look good from the outside. So I paid a buddy of mine to paint it, and it cost me $800. I dropped it off. He sanded it real quick after I'd done all the body work and primed it. Sanded it to get it smooth, shot it with paint, and I got this bright white car back. So the front and rear bumper are actually wrapped in vinyl. They're not painted, and it's actually a pretty close match. And then I started blacking out all the trim and put a Grand National grille in it, which is black and chrome. You can see the mirrors are a different color. They're actually an eggshell white. I wanted to do them a little different. I didn't want them this bright white, so they are eggshell white, which is really dirty right now. So yeah, guys, that's it. That is the Buick. I've got it in the shop right now. I'm going to hopefully put the trans in this weekend. I've got a 3-day weekend. Thankfully, it's Memorial Day. If you guys have any questions about the Buick, let me know. I think I covered most everything. It was a frame-off restored car for the most part. I started building it when I was like 21 years old, and I'm 33 now. So I've had this car for a long time. It'll probably never go anywhere. Other cars come and go. This one I'll probably keep just because of the history of it. There's been like 5 girlfriends and this one car. People joke about, you know, I don't have any kids. Well, I do, and they sit in my garage, and I drive them every day. I have a lot of fun with this kind of stuff. Never been one to settle down, so I enjoy doing this stuff, and I enjoy sharing it with you guys. I hope this gives you a better idea of what the Buick is and everything that's done to it. I have a steak that I have to put on the grill, so I'm going to go do that, and I'm going to enjoy myself tonight, take a break, because we are going to Galat Motorsports Park tomorrow for the Galat Top Street List Race, where I'm probably going to have to race 2 people that I don't want to race because they're faster than me. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, comment, like, subscribe, hit me with your questions, and remember, you can get High PSI TV t-shirts. They're in the description below. Thanks for watching.